Tonight on the Local Live, a local shelter rescues pets from hurricane-affected zones. Home composting will now be accessible to all residents. Learn more about a new initiative in our area. The Larchmont community helps a local barber recover. And we host a live roundtable discussion on DACA and its impact on our community. These stories and more coming up. Good evening, Larchmont and Mamaroneck. It is Thursday, September 21st. I'm Rob Baez, and welcome to the Local Live. The animal rescue organization Pet Rescue received a transport of dogs last Thursday from areas of Texas affected by Hurricane Harvey. The Harrison-based nonprofit took in almost 40 rescues.
United by compassion and a love for animals, nearly 50 local pet rescue volunteers eagerly awaited the arrival of 46 dogs from Texas that were affected by Hurricane Harvey.
We're here tonight because we took in 46 dogs from the flood-ravaged area in Houston, in and around Houston, and we are looking for wonderful homes for these new highly adoptable dogs. They'll be available very soon after they're vetted. You can visit our website at www.ny-petrescue.org or visit us on Facebook, and you'll see all of these dogs being posted very soon.
When the transport arrived, the volunteers welcomed the dogs with open arms and lots of kisses. Very quickly, they set about letting the dogs out of their cages, walking them around the property, giving them food and water after a nearly 7-hour-long trip. The rest that could not be taken in by Pet Rescue were brought to a shelter in Buffalo, along with donations sent in by the community, including items such as food, toys, crates, and bedding.
Pet Rescue is planning to make more rescue trips in the near future to pick up more dogs and cats that couldn't make this one. So for more information on upcoming events, adopting, and ways to support Pet Rescue, head to www.ny-petrescue.org. The town of Mamaroneck and village of Larchmont are joining forces to reduce our community's carbon footprint by launching a food waste recycling program.
For Larchmont resident Karen Kaur, it's all about the little things. For her, food composting and building a zero-waste neighborhood is caring for our community as a whole.
This is something that we all should do because we all throw waste every day.
Kaur joined efforts with Mamaroneck Town Supervisor Nancy Seligson to work on the food waste recycling initiative after meeting at a zero-waste event at St. Augustine's Church in Larchmont.
And that's when I met Karen and a few other members of the parish who said, let's work together. And it has been a fabulous experience because Karen is a superstar volunteer and she has really helped. We couldn't have done it without her.
The town of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont are currently selling these compost starter kits that are easy to use in any household. These kits can be purchased at Town Center, Village Hall, and the Larchmont Farmers Market.
So the food waste recycling kits consist of a countertop pail. It consists of 25 compostable bags, the guide that explains everything that can and cannot go into it. You put all of your food waste in the pail. When it's filled up, when the bag is filled up, you tie it in a knot, put it in this larger pail that you can store in your garage or in a closet.
Municipal composting allows residents to discard all food waste, whereas a regular home composter has limitations on what you can get rid of.
We in the town of Mamaroneck and the village of Larchmont are very excited about this food waste composting program. We invite and encourage all of our residents to participate because this will help the environment, it will help teach people about reducing their food waste, and it will potentially save us money.
The Larchmont community is coming together to support a local barber as he recovers from a stroke. Christy Capiello has the story.
For the first time since its opening, Jack's barbershop owner, Jack Gilkarov, is not behind his barber's chair, and his absence has not gone unnoticed by the Larchmont community. The 36-year-old barber is currently recovering at Burke Hospital after suffering a stroke in August.
He cares deeply about his customers and their experience here at the barbershop. And he's been here for about 14 years now, and you can tell he's become part of the community, and everyone's really been showing their support for him in these hard times.
This support is reflected in the nearly $44,000 raised by the Larchmont community via GoFundMe. The campaign, started by one customer, Katie Benedict, aims to help Jack and his family pay for their medical bills.
My heart goes out to him and his family, his brother, who's on the left of me now, cutting my hair. See, working through all the turmoil and all the chaos. He's devoted to his craft. He really is. And he's devoted to his family. And so is Jack.
Customers wish to see Jack back with scissors in his hands as soon as possible. If anyone would like to donate to his cause, go to GoFundMe.com and search Larchmont Love and Support for Jack.
Are you looking for something to do this weekend? Well, look no further because we've got some fun events to share. This Saturday, September 23rd, the grand opening of the Pop-Up Pocket Park will take place from 11 to 12:30 p.m. The new Pop-Up Park is located on Palmer Avenue in Larchmont and sports a variety of activities. Also on Saturday, don't miss Mamaroneck Public Library's return of Batman Day. The event will run all day with fun activities starting at 12:30 and a special screening of the film Suicide Squad at 2. And for those of you over 21, Halftime is hosting their 4th annual Harbor Island International Beer Festival on Saturday as well. Tickets are limited, but still available. So to purchase tickets, go to harborislandbeerfestival.com. And lastly, on Sunday, September 24th, the Larchmont Public Library is hosting the M&M Performing Arts as they perform the comedy Marriage is Murder. The event will take place at 4 p.m. in the Village Center with refreshments to be served beforehand at 3:30. And coming up, we'll have Jirandy Martinez and Janet Rolon from the Community Resource Center answering your questions on DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Executive Order. So stay tuned.
Just 2 weeks ago, the Trump administration announced an end to DACA, rescinding the 2012 Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. The program was created under President Obama. 800,000 United States residents are affected. You may know some of these so-called dreamers as family, friends, or neighbors living or working in our own Mamaroneck-Larchmont community. We invited a few of them on camera tonight to tell you their stories, but all have declined, afraid of being so public in an atmosphere they say is uncertain and frightening. However, sitting with me are 2 staff members from the Community Resource Center, a local organization that helps resident immigrants no matter their legal status. So I'd like to welcome Janet Rolon, who is the Deputy Executive Director of the Community Resource Center, and sitting next to her is Jirandy Martinez, who is the Co-Executive Director. And thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for answering questions that we hope the audience will ask and I will ask. I just want to remind our viewers before we start that they can call in, they can tweet us, they can email comments or questions during the course of our conversation. Our contact information is on the screen. So, Jirandy, maybe I can start, or sorry, Janet, I wanted to start with you. What is DACA?
Deferred action for, well, first, thank you, Mike, for having us here in your program. Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals was created during the Obama administration in 2012, and the program pretty much provided protection to young immigrants who were brought by their parents to the United States when they were children. And they were supposed to be in the United States living before or on June 15, 2007, and should have lived, in the United States since their arrivals. And the program provided them with a work permit for 2 years.
And when it says deferred action, does it grant citizenship?
It doesn't grant citizenship. What it does is just, it defers the action of placing these young immigrants in deportation proceedings.
All right, so it defers deportation, really?
Exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they're called dreamers. And there was an act, I think, that was proposed in Congress way back in 2001. And it was called the Development Relief Education for Alien Minors, or DREAM. And is that why they're called dreamers?
It's part of why. We're still advocating for the DREAM Act or some sort of reform to be passed for these dreamers. But mostly why they're all called dreamers and why we all refer to them as dreamers is because they're young people who came to this country when they were really young, grew up here. Their dream is to go to college. Their dream is to work. Their dream is to purchase a car, drive a car, own a home. And, you know, basically the rights of everybody else to walk out of their homes and not feel worried or threatened by their immigration status. So we refer to them very dearly as dreamers.
And in my introduction, I said that there were about 800,000 people affected. The Journal News reports that there are some 42,000 in New York State, 27,000 in the Hudson Valley alone. Do you have an idea how many are in Mamaroneck and Larchmont?
The Community Resource Center, when the DACA program was created, helped around 300 immigrants to have access to this legal status. I could say perhaps that half of those 300 are Mamaroneck and Larchmont residents.
So it's likely that we do know
Yes,
several who are in our community.
being affected.
On September 5th, the president apparently made a decision and then had his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, come out and announce the end of DACA. How did that impact the people that you deal with every day at the Community Resource Center?
If I may start, it was really shocking to me when I learned the news that DACA was rescinded because of Immigration Legal Services. It's my area at the Community Resource Center, and I already make connections with not only DACA applicants, but also their parents, their family members who didn't know what to do after this. So it was really heartbreaking to know that these young immigrants were, forced to live in the shadows again.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And also just so many of the family breakdowns that we have. You can have a mother with 2 citizen children and a DACA-mented young person, child. And so just even understanding that fear that some of your children are okay and the other one isn't, that's so heartbreaking. And we know so many dreamers, some of them are our cousins, our co-workers, some are mothers, some are college students. And so for that to happen, I actually was in a protest in an action with one of our staff members the day it was rescinded.
Mm-hmm.
And it was incredibly saddening. There was a lot of anger and confusion and rage, some numbness, and the numbness is even scarier to us, because it's like we're seeing our community members with a blank face. And what does that mean? And we've also there's been a deadline added to it. So if you're not reacting, what does that mean for your family? And
The deadline being October 5.
Yes.
Correct.
And we'll explain the significance of that in a minute. But we got some reactions from local officials when the president rescinded or made the decision to rescind. The first I'd like us to see is Nancy Seligson, our town supervisor. She was asked what she thought of the president's decision. Can we use that video?
I was very disappointed in learning that the president would like to eliminate the DACA program. I think it's been so successful and so important for members of our community and communities across the United States. These are people who, through no fault of their own, are members of our community, were brought to this country and as young people, and are now contributing, responsible, wonderful members of communities. And we should be embracing them, supporting them, and welcoming them. And that's what I would like to do in our community.
We have a question that came in by email. Let's go to it right now. It's on my prompter. It says, the government has fingerprints and addresses. Should DACA recipients be afraid?
We don't know right now what direction the Trump administration will take. I myself will be scared because this is private information and a social security number can be tracked, many different ways. So I understand the fear, and I think that, and because we don't know what the government will do with that private information they have, not only for, from DACA recipients, but also their family members.
Right.
So, I mean, the fear is understood.
It's a real fear, especially since at the beginning of this administration, there was so much talk about a Muslim registry. And so, a lot of people directly associate this with So now there's going to be a DACA registry, and you know, we're hoping that it doesn't lead to that, but we can't say for sure.
Yeah. One of our guests earlier today sent us an email explaining his reasons for not wanting to come in this evening, and I'd like to read that. We've withheld his name by request, but he writes to us, I am an undocumented student living in Mamaroneck. I do not feel safe on these streets, especially after the DACA repeal. I feel as though I could be asked about my status at any moment by our police and be deported, or my mom, or the rest of my family. I would never call 911 or our local police department if I ever needed help for the same reason. It doesn't matter how friendly you think the police are. And he continues later on, he says, in this moment, nothing will make me feel safe. My entire existence is under attack. My actions constantly ripped to shreds to prove I am a, quote, good immigrant. And he goes on to talk more about being frustrated, disappointed, despondent, which has led to considerable anger, as you mentioned before. It's not just, oh, gee, what do I do now? It's real fear, because these folks have been in this country for, well, it's the only country they've known, really, in most cases.
Yes.
And now they're, since the information was given to the government in a spirit of trust,
Right.
and now they don't know what the government is going to do with it.
Exactly. And I just want to highlight the fact that going to local law enforcement, calling 911 is an issue for people who are undocumented and people who are now, you know, documented, but it's been rescinded. That's a really big issue. We do not want our communities to live in fear, for crime to go up, for them not to feel like they can call the police. And this is exactly why we even advocate for the Immigrant Protection Act. We need for this information to be safe with local law enforcement and not passed on to ICE officials or ICE agents or, you know, anybody from Homeland Security. That should not be merged.
Well, we know that the county executive, Rob Astorino, has agreed that ICE agents should be allowed to do their duty in the county. What have the local police talked to you about? Are they cooperating, or?
Well, we haven't heard any cooperation in terms of assisting the federal government to arrest undocumented immigrants. But if undocumented immigrants get fingerprinted, you know, at the local level, we know that those fingerprints, you know, are shared in, you know, with the FBI, with the federal government. So we don't know how safe it's the immigrant by having his or her fingerprints being exposed.
So the fear of our would-be guest is justified.
It is
to some
justified.
degree. We have a phone call that's coming in now. Caller, you're on the local live, and we're talking about DACA. What is your comment or question?
Hi, my question has to do with fingerprints. I want to know more about what we can do to make sure the fingerprints and other personal information for DACA recipients is safe.
Okay. Did you hear that? There was the phone was a little jumbled there. But fingerprints, how can he be sure that the fingerprints don't go to information that where it shouldn't go? And caller, thank you.
We were, as Jirandy mentioned, with the Immigrant Protection Act, we were hoping that those, you know, information such fingerprints will be secure at the local level. But right now, because we don't have a legislation at the local level that actually protects that private information, we don't know how that information could be shared. I think that information should be asked to local or government agencies or local police departments directly.
Okay. We had another question that came in by email, and it's up on the prompter. And this viewer wants to know, are there any lawsuits being pursued? I'm not sure if, I'm assuming he or she means local lawsuits. We do know that there are lawsuits on the federal level.
There are lawsuits on the federal level.
Yeah.
Not that I know of on the local level, not for DACA.
Not for DACA.
Okay. But on the federal level, that would affect New York.
I think there was a proposal to, or I heard, you know, there were rumors about a lawsuit to the federal government, but we don't know whether that actually happened or
A
not.
proposal by Governor
Yeah,
Cuomo to sue
the federal government.
the federal government for rescinding DACA. We don't know where that stands yet, you know, and we also have the 6-month deadline to see what Congress does.
Sure.
So there's still a lot that has to be done, a lot of advocacy. You know, we hope to see people out on the streets, making those phone calls, calling Congress, harassing them, because we need our dreamers to be defended. This cannot just, you know, 800,000 young people without status and then potentially deported it will affect our economy, it will affect our families, it will affect mental health. So many things.
Someone who agrees with you is our Senator, Chuck Schumer, and we actually caught up with him when he was in Larchmont recently and asked him his reaction, especially since he's had that meeting with Nancy Pelosi and the president, how hopeful he is that Trump really means it when he says he wants to do something for the Dreamers. Can we see that video, please?
I spent some time with the president yesterday and asked him to get DACA, help us get DACA passed very, very quickly. And he seemed amenable to that, and he's put out some good statements. The people who have come here, the Dreamers, they didn't cross the border illegally on their own. They were tiny. They were 5 years old. They were little kids. And now most of them, almost all of them, are working hard. They want to be citizens. They want to be part of America. They want to raise their families. They're the same people who our ancestors were, who risked everything to come here because they wanted to be Americans, obey the law, pay taxes, and be part of America. So I hope we can pass the DREAM Act quickly. The momentum is gaining.
And we have a question that came in since then. Should DACA recipients renew expiring work permits?
Oh, when the
we should talk about those deadlines.
Yes, when DACA was rescinded on September 5th, there was a deadline for the DACA recipients with work permits expiring from now until March 5th, 2018 to renew before October 5th. So the ones whose work permit expires after March 5th, 2018 won't be able to renew their work permits.
So the answer is yes, renew them now?
Renew them now before October 5th. If your work authorization expires before March 5th, 2018.
But if it expires after March 5th, 2018, you're out of luck?
Unfortunately, yes. And there are no new DACA applications being processed.
And I say you're out of luck, and what I really meant to say is you're out of hope.
You won't be able to legally work in the U.S., pretty much.
We had another reaction recently from State Senator George Latimer. I was at his campaign headquarters the evening of the vote, the recent primary, and I asked him what he thought of the president's decision to rescind DACA, and we'll show that to you now.
Well, it was a bad decision. I mean, the Dreamers who are here did not come because they consciously made the decision to come. They were brought by their parents. They have followed the rules. They've gone through public schools. They have come out from under the shadows. They pay taxes. They've done everything that the federal government has asked them to do. And of course, under that philosophy, even Republican members of Congress want to see some kind of action taken. We'll see what President Trump wants to do at the end of the day. But I think we're in a moment in America. It's happened before, in the Red Scare after the end of World War I, where there's sort of an anti-immigrant and anti-others kind of feeling. But at least in Larchmont and Mamaroneck, there's a welcoming feeling, and I think that's the feeling that has to be expressed countywide and nationwide.
Do you agree with the Senator that there is a welcoming feeling in our community that may be absent in other places around the country?
We have received a great response, positive response from our community members and who are not immigrants. So we are lucky to have really good people who understand and also, think that immigrants actually contribute to the United States. And as Senator Latimer said, these young immigrants work with the government in order to get this legal status. They provided them with all their information and trusted this government. So when we go back to why are they called dreamers? Because they wanted to dream this way. So right now, I understand the hate, I understand the anger, because that dreaming is being taken, that dream is being taken away. So I can relate to, what is being felt right now.
The anger that you talked about has been evident on demonstrations. We showed a little footage earlier at the beginning of our newscast about demonstrations. That was a recent one in New York, but we can show more of that. And you told me earlier that there haven't been any local demonstrations, but there has been a vigil in White Plains, but nothing on the scale of New York City. Although I imagine some people from here went down to New York City. You also wanted to emphasize that there is going to be a DACA clinic.
Yes.
And it's this coming Saturday on the 23rd.
Correct.
From 9 to 1. What will happen at the clinic?
We will try to assist as many DACA applicants as possible to file the renewal applications before October 5th.
And this is actually the great thing about not just our clinic, but county-wide, so many community-based organizations are stepping out. They're getting their feet on the ground and really doing a lot of clinics to get as many people renewed as possible. So we're not the only ones. We have a lot of community allies supporting us. So we're very lucky in Westchester County, although there are things that could improve still. The trust with the local police, trust with the county government. There needs to be work done there, but thankfully community members are being very supportive. Community organizations are providing DACA clinics.
You talked about the economic impact of the Dreamers. Some people who opposed giving this temporary residency, I was especially surprised at Attorney General Sessions when he made the announcement and said that these Dreamers were taking away American jobs and they were committing crime and bringing, I think he even alleged some drug implications, trafficking in drugs. And what was your reaction to that? You must have been furious. I
feel that there's a lot of misinformation about immigrants. I think when I hear that type of rhetoric, I think that how misinformed this, person is. So yeah, it makes me upset, and it makes me also wanted to go out and try to clarify this misinformation, because I work with immigrant clients, and they work very hard. They always try to do the right thing, file their taxes. Taking jobs away, I wouldn't describe it that way. I think they fight for the same opportunities that everybody does. So, and they try always to be upfront with the government, especially when they earn income here.
Right. And that's where some of the outrage comes from, really, is, some of these Dreamers, they're taking the AP courses, they're going to college, they're putting homes under their name so that their family can have a home, and so when something like these accusations are thrown at Dreamers, it's so easy to understand how they would be outraged. And we're considering, after the October 5th deadline, to have a support group for them and their families, their parents who are their lives are falling apart for their children, who they worked so hard to get here to have this dream. Right. And so, support groups are incredibly important. Mental health is very critical at this time. So we will be passing out information once we have those dates.
We have a question that just came in. What's the appropriate response to those who have negative reactions to DACA and Dreamers? You said you were angry. I was angry when I heard Senator
I think being angry
Attorney
is just,
General Sessions.
Right, it's just it's a normal feeling, it's a normal reaction. But what do I do with that anger, right? So I think it's important not only for the immigrant community, but especially the non-immigrant community, to reach out to us, to contact us, spend time with the people we serve, and then judge by yourself and see what you can think, whether what they're hearing out there is actually true, or they're perceptions, you know, and the direct contact with these immigrant families.
So if somebody says that to you, or they write a letter to the editor, let's say, or they post something on Facebook, your suggestion, or you invite them in?
Yes. I think that's, for us, is the first approach to get to know us and the families we serve.
Yes, get to know us, spend some time with us, with the communities we serve, because their lives speak for themselves. I mean, you know, those accusations are ill-informed, and that's just it. And so some of it is anger, and so at the end of it, a lot of our reactions are just like, you don't know, you just don't know, because you probably haven't really associated with them the way we have.
Well, I remember that when DACA was passed, it was said that these were the best and the brightest of the immigrant community. They were going to school, they were taking
I mean,
first jobs.
All immigrants are incredible and bright.
Yes.
You know, we've all, I have to say, some people have really given up entire lives to come here and make this country a better place. And so I don't know that separating them by like best and the brightest, and you know.
And we don't want to separate in that way, because actually what should happen, what Congress should consider, is providing the immigrant community with a much larger legislation, not only to cover, you know, these young immigrants, but also their parents and their family members. Because what is the point to just protect just one group when they're going to be separated from their family members eventually? So I think Congress should aim for a much bigger legislation to provide protection to our immigrant community.
And full protection, not just temporary, not deferred action.
Correct.
Do you agree with Senator Schumer that there's a good possibility that the president will act if Congress doesn't? Or let me ask a different way. Do you think Congress will act? They have 6 months.
I hope they do.
But
you
your
know,
faces reveal a kind
of. I think. I mean, we can.
We're hesitant because they say that they have all of these other priorities.
Yeah.
I think 800,000 young people is a priority, but you know, that's just us.
Right.
But I mean, you know, it's hard to be hopeful right now.
And the way they have handled the Affordable Care Act, you know, that is taking really a long time to have a bipartisan, you know, legislation. So based on all of that, we don't know how Congress is going to react. They have 6 months, as the president said, but we hope that they really do something.
And the reason why DACA even came up is because DREAM never happened. And so Obama took an executive action to provide some pathway to young people. So Congress needs to get it together. And, you know, if they don't, and then Trump comes in and the administration says, okay, we're gonna provide some sort of relief, it really can't be at the cost of other immigrant lives.
You don't want the Dreamers to be kind of a bargaining chip.
No.
With the rest of the immigrants, or even with, I think they were discussing border security. They would somehow package renewal of the DACA with.
Exactly. These are human lives. They're not a bargaining chip. The moral thing to do is not to just come up with a better plan, please, because this is ridiculous.
So what can people do to help support you and support the people that you work with?
Well, the best way to support is right now disseminating the information about DACA clinics, and also to get informed. Get informed about who immigrants are. How many immigrants live in Mamaroneck, for instance, and what is their culture, you know? It is about to get to know your neighbor. And that's what we want our residents to help us with, but also to fundraise for us, you know, us to continue programs that actually help immigrants to, grow professionally. And
yes, you can actually find a lot of our support, hashtag 8 for 800,000 on our social media. We're actually also our annual gala, our annual fundraiser. will again this year now be Defend the Dream. Last year it was Dare to Dream, and apparently we're still in this fight for dreamers. So this year we will continue with the theme Defend the Dream, because we need people out there supporting us and, you know, giving back, because so much of our services, so much of what we do is really supporting our people and supporting our dreamers.
And the gala is December the 7th?
Thursday,
Correct.
December the 7th at the
And
Larchmont
it's at the
Shore Club.
Larchmont Shore Club.
Mhm.
And your website for people who want to know more about the Community Resource Center?
www.crcny.org.
crcny.org. And a
Correct.
phone number?
914-835-1512.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get that, folks? 834-1512. The phone
835.
number, did I say it right?
835-1512.
1512. Okay. I hope you were writing it down. And I want to thank our two guests for coming in. And I also want to say a word to the folks that we wanted to have as guests who were scared to come on tonight. We appreciate your watching. We appreciate the email that we got earlier. And we hope that in the near future we could do a program with you and have you on and tell your story, your stories to our community.
Yes.
And we wish you
Thank
folks well and invite
you.
you to make use of LMC TV and create a program or several programs where we can get to know each other.
Of
Great
course.
idea.
And thank
we'll
you
see
for
each
having
other.
us.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and we'll see everybody out on the streets.
Yes.
That's right. Don't forget the gala December 7th, the CRC Defending
Defend the Dream.
the Dream. And don't go away. There's much more of the Local Live coming up right now.
Have you been looking for a way to get your YouTube project off the ground? Well, look no further. Down here at LMC TV, we have the tools to bring your ideas to life. With the magic of green screen, you can go anywhere. If you're into current events, politics, or entertainment, sounds like you create your own news channel. And this is the perfect spot for you. We have access to numerous pre-made news sets with customizable options. So come share what you think is important to your audience. Or if you want to talk about things that you love, like video games, then this is your GameStop. Give your personal review, share your tricks and cheats, or boast your achievements. Whatever you want to share with your fellow gamers. Hungry for more? Come teach us how to create some tasty treats, share kitchen hacks, or easy meals. Be your own Chef Boyar YouTube. Into creating but not cooking? This is your DIY destination. Tell the world how you create fun things from scratch. Come on down and start recording. The sky's the limit down here at LMC. If you want to make your very own YouTube show, come down Tuesdays or Fridays between 4 and 6. You must reserve your time in advance and bring your own script, JPEGs, and videos on a USB with you. Go to lmctv.org for more information.
Welcome back to the Local Live. I'm Stephen Astis. This past weekend, both Mamaroneck and Rhinebeck had their homecoming weekends, and local fans had plenty of football to enjoy. Let's recap the action, starting with the nightcap at Mamaroneck.
To go first down.
Tigers hosting Mount Vernon on a first quarter drive. That's Tim Sommer punching it in from 4 yards out for what would be the game's only score until the fourth quarter. On the first play of the fourth, Mamaroneck is backed up against their own goal line and can't get out of the end zone. Tommy Dillon goes down for a safety, bringing Mount Vernon within 5 points. Later on, the Tigers have a 4th and goal, and they decide to take the points. Max Bones' 21-yarder puts the Tigers back up by 8. Time winding down as Mamaroneck is forced to punt to Mount Vernon, but the return is fumbled. A swarm of Tigers pounce on the loose ball to seal the night's fate as the Tigers take their first win of the game on homecoming night by an unusual final score of 10-2. With the win, the Tigers improved to 1-2 on the season and a tough test to come at home against undefeated Clarkstown North. Meanwhile, the Rhinebeck Black-Hats hosted the Tuckahoe Tigers in their homecoming game. Both teams entered with a record of 1-1 on the season. It was Tuckahoe that got things going early, leading Rhinebeck by 2 scores when the Black Hats dug into the playbook. It's a halfback pass by Michael Colasanti, catching the Tigers' secondary off guard. Matt Quartararo reels it in, setting up a short rushing score for Pedro Cueto. After a successful Tuckahoe 2-minute drill put the Tigers back up by 2 scores at the half, Rhinebeck inducted former baseball and basketball star Ryan Pennell into the school's Athletic Hall of Fame. After graduating Rhinebeck in 2010, Pennell played baseball collegiately at Elon University and was a 22nd round draft pick of the Tampa Bay Rays in 2014. Pennell now works for the Rays in their video scouting department. Back on the field, the Black Hats need a big play to get back in the game, and that's just what Tyler Simon delivers on the opening play of the 4th quarter. He nabs the tipped pass out of midair, breaks a tackle, and takes it all the way back for a 75-yard pick 6. On the next Black Hat possession, Cueto completes a bomb pass to Colasanti, setting up Rhinebeck 1st and goal. Cueto would then sneak it in to get the Black Hats within a score, but that's as close as they would get. Tuckahoe spoils the party by a 36-20 final. With the loss, the Black Hats fall to 1-2 and spend the next 2 weeks on the road. That'll do it for this week in local high school sports. This has been Steve Anastas for the Local Live Sports. Stay tuned for more community stories.
Hey guys, we are back here at the studio here at the Local Live. I'm Kyote.
Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back.
So guys, today we are bringing you Kingsman, The Golden Circle, directed by Matthew Vaughn, starring some pretty cool actors.
Yeah.
We got Colin Firth, Julianne Moore, Taron Egerton, and some really cool cameos, one being by the one and only Halle Berry. We got Elton John, Channing Tatum, just to name a few.
This film is a sequel to the first Kingsman, The Secret Service. It depicts the story of a highly secretive intelligence agency whose ultimate goal is to keep the world safe.
Right.
Like the first one, there's tons of action.
Tons of action in this one, guys. So just like the first one, I'm sure that this action is going to blow me away the same way. So guys, let's take a look at a clip from Kingsman, The Golden Circle.
It's about being willing to sacrifice for the greater good. I hope you're ready for what comes next.
And now... Woo, you're right. This film looks fantastic. You know, he suckered me into seeing the first one, and I actually loved it. And I can't wait to see this one. Catch The Kingsman, The Golden Circle, on September 22nd at a theater near you.
Awesome. Now, let's get into some TV talk, guys. Let's get some TV talk. I've gotten into, well, we've gotten into Power, right? We know we're a little late to the party, but we're glad we tuned in because we're major fans now. Would you say?
Yes, even though you betrayed me and watched the entire series without me.
I did.
But anywho, speaking of betrayal, this show is one of intrigue, plot that is full of twists and turns. The audience follows Ghost, played by Omari Hardwick. Sorry, as he walks the line between good and evil. He definitely wants to be a regular guy, but his side job prohibits him from doing so. The cast is hot, with Leela Loren as Angie, Naturi Naughton, who you may know from 3LW, as Tasha, Joseph Sikora as Tommy, in my opinion, one of the worst characters. And last but not least, you have the pleasure of seeing Mr. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson as a lead character, but also as an executive producer.
Nice. Well, Kate, listen, Power suckered me in, so I binge-watched the entire first season while you're away. Binge-watched it. All done.
Oh, wait, you weren't doing laundry?
Laundry I was doing it at the same time, multitasking. Anyway, go ahead.
Sure you were. But anywho, guys, it's been a pleasure to be with you again. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Scriptly Live here at the Local Live. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Local Live. I am Sebastian Hall. Today's top TV stars celebrated their night at the 69 Emmy Awards last Sunday, and here are the highlights plus the recap from the flaming red carpet. Stephen Colbert hosted the magical night with a mix of humor and political punches, as he even invited Sean Spicer on stage. But that was just the beginning, as we also had a 9 to 5 reunion with the hot trio of Lily, Dolly, and Jane Fonda. While some decided to show up in their galactic ensemble, others decided to go full steam and dare the devil in bold colors. But don't worry, Angel Sophia came and saved the night from the other crime scene on the red carpet. Sterling K. Brown won lead actor in a drama series in This Is Us, while Elizabeth Moss won lead actress in a drama series in The Handmaid's Tale. We also had the emotional speech by Ann Dow when she received her award for Outstanding Supporting Actress in The Handmaid's Tale. And Lena Waithe made history as the first African American to win for comedy writing in the series Master of None. To close the event, Beep took the award for Best Comedy Series and The Handmaid's Tale for Best Drama. Now let's talk about the fashion crimes of the night and the top 2 best dressed. The talented actress Ahiona Alexis from 13 Reasons Why gave us the reason why she's the worst dress of the night. She did not only gave us a one piece, but a 3 with a half cowboy, half gown, and half bodysuit. The only thing missing is a horse to close up her look. Amazing and charismatic TV host and actress Tracy Ellis Ross clearly stumbled in her mommy's closet with the lights off, and here is the result: a disco ball with a $2 belt and a feather duster at the end. Last but not least is the sweet actress from American Crime Story and American Horror Story, Sarah Paulson. Just as the titles mention, the dress is a horror and a crime with the Jiffy Pop shoulder pads and a silver plate as a clutch. Now let's talk about the good stuff. Tall and talented actress Nicole Kidman showed up in this glammed red dress by Calvin Klein. The look was perfect for the night, and it gave Nicole an elegant touch with the red and the attached silver necklace on top, carrying the 2 main colors for the 2017 fall season. Our last choice is the international movie star Priyanka Chopra, who won for Best Dress. She came in full speed with this gown by Balmain, covering the 2 top trends of the season, with a silver sequins, a feather trail, and deep color lips. Hope you like our Emmys recap. For the Local Live, I'm Sebastian Hall, and always remember to stay fabulous. Bye-bye.
Fanny is an 11-year-old senior cat perfect for you snowbirds because her favorite activity is basking in the sun, so take her on down to your favorite winter destination. Her other hobbies include eating treats and, of course, being adorable. And as you can see, Bree is a very energetic puppy. Bree is one of the Harvey rescue animals, so bring her home and let her share your joy because she's been through a lot and still maintains a positive, happy attitude. To adopt Fanny or Bree, or to check out other pets ready to adopt, go online to ny-petrescue.org. We always welcome new volunteers and interns, and we would love hearing from our viewers. So send us an email at thelocallive@lmctv.org. Thank you so much for watching our show, and Shana Tova. That's all for tonight. I'm Rob Byers, and we will see you next week for another episode of The Local Live.